Ready to whoop our ass anyway.
Well, I've been turning in plenty of shit.
I wrote a book in March.
I just wrote 2. Biker.
Working on 3.
I did manage to film a TV show somewhere.
Yeah. But what do you want to talk about?
I like the idea of let's work out what the hell we're going to do with the vorpal blade, man.
Okay, so I had like the other 4 little synopses, and overall,
Which I haven't read
in forever, right?
3 years.
And neither have I.
Yeah, so
Okay. But the basic next concept, you wanted to go to the monoceros ring, and I understand why, because it's got a funny name.
Yeah. And just think of all the rhinoceros jokes we can do with it. In case you don't know what the monoceros ring is, we figured out only like a couple years ago that there's a ring around our galaxy, and if you can see it if you look in the direction of the monoceros constellation. So they call it the monoceros ring, and it's expected to be a fairly densely populated ring of stars. So we got the Milky Way swirl, and then there's sort of a halo around that. And so John and I have been talking about ways to blow up galaxies and stuff, and we just thought that since the monoceros ring, I thought it had a cool name. There ought to be some way we could do it just to get the rhinoceros joke in there somewhere.
Actually, there's 2 physics things that I've been wanting to talk with you about. That have absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the book.
I'm good. Talk about whatever. I'm good.
The first one is the monoceros ring is there, but you know what the monoceros ring reminds me of? Kuiper Belt.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've virtually guaranteed that our galaxy also has the equivalent of an Oort cloud.
Yeah, I would actually. There are a few papers out right now that suggest there should be a sparsely populated cloud of stars around the galaxy, much like the Oort cloud is around our solar system. And if you look at it from when you flush it down the toilet and it all spirals in, there's always stuff that hangs around on the edge. I mean, that's exactly what our galaxy is. It's a toilet where the drain is the big black hole in the center.
That's the other thing that I want to
sucking
talk
all
about.
the stuff in. And so you're always going to have a black hole. You're always going to have a monoceros ring.
And people talk about why is stuff in the plane of the ecliptic. If you actually think about the physics, it makes sense. Things settle out flat.
Oh well, yeah. Take a top and pile pennies up on it and spin the top, and there's stuff goes out to the edge on the end. It's just a conservation of angular momentum.
But then around it, you have a sphere. You've got it around planetary systems. You're gonna have it around galaxies.
Yeah. It looks more like a if you measured on star density, like on how many stars per area or volume there are, it would look more probably like an hourglass. But there are still stars up here,
Yeah.
and here there's just fewer of them per volume than there are, on the edges where
Finding
the
them, by
direction
the
of
way,
the ecliptic is.
finding them, by the way, would be a real stone cold bitch.
Yeah, people don't realize how hard it really is to find stuff in space. Space is really freaking big. How big is it? Space is so big that when if you lose your keys, you will find them in your blank. Where's Gene Raven when you need him, right?
So here's the other thing. Every galaxy at this point, they're starting to think, pretty much every galaxy, some galaxies might have lost it, has a black hole. I think that black holes are necessary not only for the formation of galaxies, but the formation of stars.
Yeah, well, it's probably true.
I think that my thought, and I'm just throwing this shit out there, is that in the Big Bang, they still kind of think that you had quantum black holes.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, in the initial formation of matter at the hydrogen level, some of those quantum black holes were large enough that the hydrogen started to form around them and feed them and keep them alive, rather than them releasing all of their energy. They were sustained, and that created a gravitational point. Because the whole question has been, why the hell did we form galaxies? Well, I think it was those quantum black holes.
Well, part of that is more than just why did we form galaxies, and we're going to figure out a lot of it now that we've probably found the Higgs boson. The whole thing about Higgs, if it hasn't really been explained well in a lot of science fiction and/or popular science and education. Well, our Higgs boson is just a Higgs-like boson. It's not the Higgs. The deal is, for some reason, at a certain energy level, energy starts to have the properties of matter. And you're like, why? Why is it, we have no idea why stuff is like this, as opposed to being like light that comes out of a light. And Peter Higgs, a Scottish physicist, came up with this mechanism, mathematical reason that could describe why and how it does it, but there would have to be this particle that exists at a certain energy level. And that particle, when the universe cooled, it was really, really hot before there were any Higgs particles. Then as it was cooling to a point, it was still really hot, but it was just hot enough that the Higgs mechanism worked, and stuff started having matter and energy separation. So stuff then started feeling like that. And we had to build the LHC, which, by the way, if we would have kept the super collider in Texas and not let it get canceled in the 90s, we would have known this. We would have known this 15 years ago, and we would have discovered it in this country, which is another reason to do basic research.
Now, hang on a second. We would have discovered it in Texas. They don't necessarily consider it to be the same thing.
Damn right.
Everything's big in Texas, though. So the Higgs boson would have been this much larger.
The super collider was actually designed to be larger and more powerful than the LHC.
And think how many people, how many damn Europeans we put to work as opposed to
trust me,
Texas.
you got a hell of a lot more room in Texas to do this shit than you do in Geneva.
And I'd much rather seen a bunch of Texans getting paid to do it instead of a bunch of damn Europeans.
Yeah, you can just see them getting ready. Get ready for the shot.
Oh, you forgot, hold my beer and watch this.
Well, they could have gone. They would have gone and drink cold draft beer or a shot of whiskey or something afterwards instead of, and maybe go out and stay on the shooting ranges out back.
Well, okay. Now hold on a second. There's a few things I got to bring up. One, the beer in Switzerland is better. Okay. Two, from the point of view of shooting ranges, we're talking about Switzerland. Okay. I went.
Our 14-year-old girls are better than most armies.
Okay.
They're 14.
And a little corner convenience store, you go in there and you buy your Toblerones and whatever. I was 10 years old. I'm walking out and I look up and there's a machine gun over the door. And I'm talking about a platoon level medium machine gun, 7.62 by 51. And I asked somebody, why is it a machine gun? Well, the guy was in the Swiss militia that owned the place. They lived upstairs. And if there was a call out, which they have occasionally, just, we're calling you out just to make sure that you can show up, he had to show up with his machine gun in uniform with his gear and 2 boxes of ammo, which he kept behind the counter. This guy did not have a problem with being held up. Okay, so if they're going to put it someplace in Europe, at least they put it in Switzerland.
Yeah. But I'd much rather seen a bunch of Texans get paid. And there have been a lot of dollars come in. Spin-off technologies, the education excitement from all that, But, so